how's it going? It is Wednesday, May 13th, and this is the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. We're on YouTube, so make sure to subscribe, follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. Today we'll get some coronavirus updates, the second wave hitting South Korea, and some inspiring thoughts on the Tuesday morning message. So, how are you guys doing today? It is a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. I hope that you guys are having a good week. It's already the middle of the week, right? I'm just thankful that all of you are here joining us on the Morning Star Drive. And just remind everyone, keep liking, keep commenting. I want to hear from you guys and see how you're doing. Now, remember this week's Sunday edition, I interviewed the YouTuber and Blessed Family father from America, Pastor David Baker, and make sure to watch that interview. Also, next week, who will be on the Sunday edition? We'll be meeting a Japanese member living in Korea. She studied in America for a year and also won her regional Miss Universe pageant. Look forward to this interview with Hikari Ju, and she talks about her steps towards this history and how she came to be where she is right now. So, let's get into the featured artist of the day, and today's featured artist is from the Proby label, Paper Music Associates. We're going to listen to the post-rock artist Zeniac, and the single, we haven't heard this for probably over a month. It is Trans-Neptunian Observation. Great song. It's post-rock. And the second song will be from Sungbeat, a well-requested song on the Morning Star Drive. It is the single, I'll Run.
Trinity, you fulfilled everything. It was so difficult, we'll never know what you went through, but even so, we praise you and will amaze you as we testify so people learn the truth and realize what you have really gone through. We'll preach till everyone on earth has heard the story of how you fulfilled your purpose until they offer glory. Just as you give to us, see what we've done, so we'll give to you, cause you've overcome. We will offer you praise, cause this history is won. 6,000 years you persevered, now the rapture's begun. Trinity, I'm so thankful I could see the day you raptured all our spirits up to you. I have experienced it, I know it's true. I've seen it, I have received it. Now I will testify so people learn the truth and realize how much you really do. I'll preach till everyone on earth has heard the story of how you fulfilled your purpose until they offer glory. Just as you give to us, seeing what we've done, so we'll give to you, cause you overcome. We will offer you praise, cause this history is won. 6,000 years persevered, now the rapture has begun. Just as you've chosen me out of everyone, now I will love you alone, I won't be outdone. I'll take your thoughts as my head, make our purpose one, and I will stay till the end. I will always run, I'll run, I'll run, because you've overcome, because this history has won. Just as you give to us, see what we've done, so we'll give to you, cause you overcome. We will offer you praise, cause this history is won. 6,000 years persevered, now the rapture's begun. Just as you've chosen me out of everyone, I will love you alone, I won't be undone. I'll take your thoughts as my head, it's our purpose one, and I will stay till the end, I will always run.
And that is I'll Run from Sung Beats. And of course, the first song was from Paper Music Associates, the post-rock artist, which is Zeniac. And that song was Trans-Neptunian Observation. I think I need to spell that out in the description below, because that is a very, very long and complicated title for a song. Which means it brings us into our section now for coronavirus updates, which I'm hoping, well, according to the message, we're going to be in this for at least another 2 months. Let's take a look at the coronavirus around the world. At the moment, it's 4.3 million cases in the world with 290,000 deaths. The U.S. with a third, about a third of the cases in the U.S., 1.4 million. It's mainly because their testing is out of this world. They're testing so many cases per week. And they have 82,000 deaths, which sounds like a lot, is the most in the world. However, we have to realize it's only 5.9% on the mortality rate, which is a percentage below the global average. Russia's at 232,000 cases, 2,100 deaths, and the UK is at 223,000 with 32,000 deaths. And of course, both of them have surpassed Italy in cases, and the UK has surpassed not only in cases but also in deaths. I believe they're number 2 in the world for most deaths. Brazil is 170,000 cases, 12,000 deaths, 6.88%, which is around the global average for mortality rate. Canada, my hometown, 70,000, my home country, 70,000 cases, 5,000 deaths, and they're over 7.1% mortality rate, which basically means that They're a bit above the global average for the mortality rate. And last but not least, Sweden. It's a country we're keeping our eye on, mainly because Sweden is one of the only countries that is not doing a full lockdown. 27,000 cases, 3,300 deaths, which means 12.15%. And they're in the hope. Well, the one thing that's good about not having a lockdown in Sweden is there's no such thing as easing the lockdown where there's going to be a spike in cases because they haven't locked down. Any other news in the world with the coronavirus? The only thing is, I believe it is New Zealand. Something interesting that happened is New Zealand is supporting Taiwan for the WHO despite China's rebuke, and they're okay with it. And honestly, I think that a lot of countries are going to start supporting Taiwan because there's just the reputation has just been shattered because of this coronavirus, which moves us into kind of the spotlight of the current news next. Let's talk about the second wave that's happening right now in South Korea. Originally, scientists were a little bit worried about this second wave, especially in Korea, China, and Italy. Even though they're somewhat flattening the curve, there is an expectation of a second wave as lockdowns begin to ease up, people come back together. And of course, we heard from other epidemiologists that once you lock down people and put them in their own houses and they're not exchanging bacteria and viruses all over, just that's everywhere. What happens is their immune system goes down. So just naturally, there's going to be a second wave. So the scientists are talking about the second wave, and they're going to say that in the short term, things are going to get worse before they get better. So quarantine, self-isolating, that will stop large clusters from happening. That's something that needs to happen. And some places are going to be slower than others. Like even if you look at New York right now, it's still getting higher. But hopefully it'll peak this week, or maybe I'm just hoping the peak is already done. Once restrictions are released, then we have to take a good look at what's happening in China, Korea, and Hong Kong. And what's happening in Korea, second cluster has happened. So second wave is, it's kind of a fear of a second wave happening in South Korea right now. Those of you who heard in the Tuesday morning message, it came out there too. You might not have caught it, but the president now is urging people not to lower their guard, but brace for the second wave as restrictions are beginning to ease. So what happened is 34 new cases in a single day. And that's kind of like another big thing that's happening. And it happened in this district. It's kind of like a foreigner district in Korea called Itaewon. And in there, it's linked to nightclubs, and particularly gay nightclubs. And what happened was they found patient 0, and he went to several of the nightclubs, and now they're tracking thousands of people that went to those clubs. So the mayor in Seoul has quickly put the lockdown brakes on, and clubs, bars, hostess bars are all suspended with strict punishment if they do open up. The president did say that the infection cluster is kind of only in the entertainment industry. And similar infections are going to happen in any enclosed or crowded spaces. So these are all in nightclubs, where there's dancing in this very crowded space. And so the situation in Korea is basically a warning sign to all of the countries of what is going to possibly happen as you begin to ease restrictions. The question that many people are bringing up is, are they easing restrictions too soon? And the answer is, we're not really sure. It's a difficult question because no one knows when the perfect timing is. And as scientists and epidemiologists are saying is, no matter what, the moment you come out of a lockdown, the moment people are starting to come out, there's going to be a spike in infections. The contagion is going to be much higher just because that's what happens after a lockdown when it comes to one of these influenzas or viruses. So it is a very difficult question to say, are we coming out of it too soon? Especially because we talked about this yesterday. Asymptomatic spreading, or it's an invisible virus. It's asymptomatic and it's just happening all the time. No one knows when they have it, and it's just going to be a matter of, is everyone going to be tested or not? But the good thing about this is, if it's invisibly spreading, then many people are going to become immune to it, and then herd immunity will be a lot faster. So, because when you look at the patient 0, the one that was the original person that spread the coronavirus in these nightclubs in Itaewon, they said that he had absolutely no symptoms. No symptoms at all, and that's why it was hard to detect. So how do we prevent this? Preventing this, Korea was already very successful through testing and contact tracing, and they're probably going to do the exact same thing. And what is the biggest what would you say? What is the biggest thing you can learn from this second wave coming from Korea? And Korea is a place that did really, really well, well, the biggest thing we can say is it's not over yet. Right? Even if that first wave goes down and you're able to bring down the death, or like, sorry, not the deaths, but the cases down to 0 for even 2-3 weeks, like Korea has done. I'm not sure if they brought it down to 0, but they had brought it down to 0, but I'm not sure for how long. It's still there, still going to happen, and expect the second wave. So I think this is something that governments and leadership has to think about. And I don't think, at this point, I don't think you can lock down the entire world and the economy like for another 2 months or whatever it is. So it's something that everyone has to start thinking about much more deeply too. Which brings us to the next section, which is praise. I love this section too. All of us can sing and praise together. This first song I chose, perfect for this time right now. It's Prayer Mission Accomplished, and it's sung by a singer here in Malaysia. He won the first Malaysian Idol. His name is Daniel, and this song is a really good song, and I hope it's something that all of us can sing at the end of our 70 days. So that first song is going to be Prayer Mission Accomplished, and the second song is Eternally Thankful.
Lord, I'm here praying today. I pray unceasingly again. Lord, I'm here praying today. I pray unceasingly again. I'll engrave only your word into my mind. I'll keep it there. I'll engrave only your word into my mind. I'll keep it there. Lord, I'm here praying today. I pray unceasingly again. Lord, I'm here praying today. I pray unceasingly again. I will engrave only your word into my mind. I'll keep it there. I will engrave only your word into my mind. I'll keep it there. I will kick all of those Satans away, forces of darkness that steal of my strength and my energy. Casting them off, I will run this history brilliantly. The Satans who hide themselves inside my heart, I will destroy them all. Those Satans who cause so many trials, forgot the street of providence. So yesterday, now and forever, I swear I'll eradicate them from my life. Today's supreme, my mission has been accomplished. Lord, I'm here praying today. I pray unceasingly again. Lord, I'm here praying today. I pray unceasingly again. I will engrave only your word into my mind. I'll keep it there. I will engrave only your word into my mind. I'll keep it there. I will kick all of those Satans away, forces of darkness that steal of my strength and my energy. Casting them off, I will run this history brilliantly. The Satans who hide themselves inside my heart, I will destroy them all. The Satans who cause so many trials, forgot the street of providence. So yesterday, now and forever, I swear I'll eradicate them from my life. Today's supreme, my mission has been accomplished. Satans in my heart, destroy them. Satans in providence, destroy them. Satans in my life, destroy them. No matter what, complete this mission. Satans in my heart, destroy them. Satans in providence, destroy them. Satans in my life. inside my heart, I will destroy them all. The Satans who caused so many trials, but God's the street of providence. So yesterday, now, and forever, I swear I'll eradicate them from my life. Today is supreme, my mission has been accomplished. The Satans who hide themselves inside my heart, I will destroy them all. The Satans who caused so many trials, but God's the street of providence. So yesterday, now, and forever, I swear I'll eradicate them from my life. Today is supreme, my mission has been accomplished. Today is supreme, my mission has been accomplished. Today is supreme, my mission has been accomplished.
Above, I truly see you're always close to me, leading me with inspiration, and you intervene for me. I know I'm safe within your hands. You protected me from death. Now you are the reason that I live my life. Thank you eternally. Thank you for my life.
That was Eternally Thankful, and that first song was Prayer Mission Accomplished. I hope that you guys enjoyed those two songs praised together, and some of you, I hope, even danced along with these songs. That brings us over to the word or the study portion of today. So let's get into the word portion, and I wanted to talk especially about yesterday's message, the pre-dawn message, like the morning message that was given. It was a little bit short, but it was very detailed, and something I really appreciated it because one thing of having the advantage for me being in Malaysia is we're like 12 to 15 hours ahead of America and like the far west. So the interesting thing about that is like we get the message first. So I had an interesting call yesterday morning, and it was from a member, and they asked me about, the word is so vague, and it just says to take action, but what do you take action on? And I just wanted to kind of give you some insight. Is a lot of times these word studies, or when I talk about the word, it's usually from a question that someone gives me. Even yesterday, is talking about, sometimes we want to quit, sometimes we don't feel like doing something, and what should we do? How should we handle it? That's all coming from questions from people. And because of these questions, it makes me think. Because of these questions, it makes me reflect and try to think about what would be the best answer. What does the word say about these types of answers? Or what does proper etiquette? What does reason? What does rationale tell us how to deal with these situations? So today's question comes from someone who asked me the question of what should we be, there's so many things to take action on. And the one thing we will see throughout the word is that the word will never be too specific. And the reason is because we're all different. We're so different. Like our paths are different. Some of us are going to be in the internal witness side. Some are external witness. Some are family. Some are single. Some are getting ready to get married. Some are like phase stars. It's just so different. People on campus, people in SS and Milky Ways. I don't think Milky Ways are listening to this, but when you think about it, it can't be too specific, or else it's going to leave out a group of people. And this week's message talks about putting the word into action. Right, doing more, putting the word into action, and then also talking about doing it united with God. And of course, they're very general and vague. Well, not so general, but it's general and vague as in we're like, okay, so what does that mean? And the Tuesday pre-dawn message was really great because it kind of gave us more insight and a little bit more detail of what we should do. And I thought one of the things that was really amazing about the Tuesday pre-dawn message, even though it was so short, is like finding and studying new ways to love God. And I was like, wow. Because at first he said the new thing is what? Do a new thing. New thing is loving God. I'm like, well, that's not really a new thing. But then he's like, finding and studying new ways to love God. And I was like, wow, that's really deep. Don't do things like you did in the past because it's not new. You got to do the things you haven't done. That's what we need to do. And that really made me think a lot of how am I going to love God with things that I haven't done before. And of course, in the past, through the messages we've heard, there's always two ways to raise the level. Number one is you raise the level and do the same thing but at a higher level, or you change the method completely. So I was thinking about those two things, like, wow, how can I love the Lord even more? And it made me think about many different things, from how I pray to how I do this podcast, how I am, there's just so many different ways and so many different things that I have to think about. And it really kind of changed my perception of doing something new. And it's because I forgot. Because in the past, the message is always said, you either do things a new way or you raise the level in the same thing that you're doing. And it's never changed. So it was something that really intrigued me, and I was able to talk about, if you listen to the Tuesday message, which this person hasn't yet because they're still a day behind. But I told them to listen to the Tuesday message. It's very, very deep, and it's more detail. And I liked how, everything about the message was, you can't do it like you did before. And I do think we have to think about this when we think about ministry, the way we lecture, the way we evangelize, the way we talk to people, the way we care about people. I really started to think about this at a different level. And I think we all have to think about this too with the time that we have. Because, you know, Sunsi said that we have like 2 months left. We got another 2 months, at least. And if that's the case, we have plenty of time. And I really liked how we were told, it's like, you have so much time, and it's so much easier right now. And it's true. We save so much time. We don't take our cars to go to church. We don't change our clothes. Like we don't take that extra shower because we're not doing anything really. We're at home all day. Like, it's like, unless you're in like working outside, which most of us aren't, no one's sweating or anything else. We're just basically doing our work indoors. People are exercising and showering right after. And I really thought to myself, is we have so much time, which means there's not really an excuse to miss anything spiritual because there's so much time. It's really weird because sometimes we'll say, I don't want to do this. But reality is we have so much time to do everything, to do pre-dawn, to do Sunday service, to do Wednesday service. There's so much time. We have time to prepare like really well for the services to even an hour before because there's so much time. Like, now we're at a position of making ourselves where we don't really have an excuse of not having enough time. When you really think about it, we don't have an excuse of not having enough time. And that's why this is a time right now. We have to diligently make ourselves completely, and we have to work really hard. And then in the end, we can brag about ourselves too, that we really worked hard and we changed. And I think it's something that we really have to kind of look at from a very clear perspective, more than the perspective in your head is, I don't want to do this. Why do I have to do this? Why do I have to still get up? It's more of actually, we have so much time, and sometimes we're searching during the day, looking for something to do because there's so much time. Like, there's so many things you just can't do for that long. We have too much time. And this is why we need to spend that time wisely and spend it on the things. We can spend it on everything. We can spend it on physical and spiritual, and we have enough time to do both. In the past, because of work and all these other different things, we were a little bit tired, and we might not have been able to do it and have enough time as we do now. And back then, we kind of have more an excuse to not do something. But now it's kind of, we don't have an excuse. It really is the time to diligently make ourselves. And I really like the point is, don't just do well in a group, because when you're split up, then you become weak because you're only good in a group. You have to do well as an individual, then the whole group does well. Do well with your own talent and be powerful and able to do individual things. Loving God alone, right? Loving God by yourself. It's your thing. You're loving God. It's my thing. It's powerful. It is my power. It is my authority to love God as an individual, not relying on anyone else. And I really, I think it almost talks like, I almost see the difference now of like the Asian mentality and the Western mentality. Because the Western mentality is, we're good on our own and I don't want to go into the group, right? But the interesting thing is, the flip side is, in Asia, it's kind of different because they're strong in the group and they don't want to be alone. And it's like the exact opposite thing. But I do think that some groups, like some people, will have to start learning how to do well in a group. And some people have to learn really well how to do well on their own. And just because you're alone doesn't mean you should be lonely. There's so many things to do. Right? Like, Sunsi was alone in the mountains. He felt lonely, but he also felt this was a given time, and he worked really hard. And it's something that I said last week on Monday, was this is like our 40 days in the desert. It's just us and God. There's no one else. And there's no food. There's no, it's just you are fasting for 40 days. And all the distractions are gone. And what we get is the word every day. That's what we get. And that's what Jesus had in the desert. It was him and God the whole time. And at the very end of it, there was that big test. And he had to overcome and defeat Satan. And I do believe that us too, at this time, with the remaining 2 months, we have to overcome ourselves. We really do. There's no time to make yourself when the distractions come back. But how will you make yourself now that when you go back into the public, you'll be ready and you'll be more prepared than you were before? And I think that's a very powerful statement that we have to think about too. One thing I thought was very interesting in the message, I think some of you may not understand this, when in the message, it was talking about homosexuality, coronavirus, kicked out of Eden, away from the purpose of creation. For those of you who don't know, Korea is already hitting a second wave. Well, we talked about it in today's podcast. There is a second wave, and it's from Itaewon, is where all the nightclubs, it's where all the foreigners are, and it's where all the gay nightclubs, and it's from the gay nightclubs. Like gay nightclubs, from there, they opened up again, and there was that patient zero that went from club to club to club, and now because of that one person, 33 people are confirmed so far, and thousands more are being traced, right? So it's something that we have to think about. Like, wow, this is as crazy as it sounds. Korea, which we thought was like super safe, is now going to hit their second wave, and we're not sure like how big it's going to get, but their second wave is coming, and most likely everyone else will get their second wave too. The last thing I want to talk about, the message that is one of the prayers I have, is like how do you defeat the weaknesses and the temptations? And it was so simple. In the pre-dawn, it was so simple, as in, you like what you keep thinking about. It's not being born that way. It's not having like oh, I just have no choice. It's just the way I am. No, it's what we think about, which means you have to run your brain really well. And we have to realize how good it is to think well, how powerful it is to think well, that we can stop liking things we shouldn't like. We cannot rot our brains. We can't have a rotten brain and rotten mentality, but it's all about how we run our brains. It's about loving and serving God and pleasing God and doing our best, which means that you could take a look at your brain right now. Is like, how often do you think of like loving and serving God and pleasing God? How often do we think about doing our best for God? Because that should be in our mind. Like even the offering, right? Now that we're at a time where offering is done on our own through like, QR codes or whatever it is, we have to do it with a pleasing heart, and we're offering it to God. Don't do it out of obligation. Don't do it because you're forced, but do it because you have to be cheerful about this. Be a cheerful giver. Don't force, but you have to do it out of pleasure and joy, right? You have to do it naturally. A cheerful giver, a cheerful doer, right? This is the love history, which means that what is it all about? It's about how you run your brain, how you're making your brain, which is the most important thing. What are you thinking about? And what you think about the most is where your brain turns to and likes the most. And I really thought to myself about that too. Wow, the things that I struggle with, how much am I thinking about it? And I realized I am thinking about it more. I don't need to, but I am. So I really hope that you guys will keep going over those, especially that Tuesday message. Tuesday message is great, right? It's really, really good. So keep looking at that and see what it's saying. And now that this word and study portion is over, let's move into the song of choice. And today's song of choice is coming all the way from New Zealand. It is someone who is also going to be the story of the day. Her name's Melanie, and she is in New Zealand at the moment, okay? And there's a song that she requested from JC Velasquez, and I don't know if many of you guys know who this is, but she's a contemporary Christian singer, and she's back in my days, like with Michael W. Smith. Not Don Moen is too old. It's like Michael W. Smith, Matt Redman. Like these are the old school guys. Stephen Curtis Chapman. These are old contemporary Christian singers. And for me, it was quite interesting because JC Velasquez is like old school contemporary Christian music, which I used to listen to a lot when I was younger. So I hope you guys will enjoy this song. This song, listen to the lyrics, is really deep. I actually haven't heard this song before, even though I know JC Velasquez. The interesting thing is, I actually haven't heard this song before. It's called Flower in the Rain. And this is a Filipino, from the Philippines, it's Melanie, but at the moment she is in Wellington, New Zealand at the moment. So this is a song, it's called Flower in the Rain.
You are the one, there's no one else who lifts me up and gives me water from the well. But there's a hole that seems to drain it all away. And once again I'm left in fear and doubt when all my strength is crying out. So here I am again, willing to be opened up and broken like a flower in the rain. Tell me what have I to do to die and then be raised to reach beyond the pain like a flower in the rain. The evil wind, it blows a storm to rock my world. Just when I think I'm safe and warm, I'm led astray far too easily. It's always hard for me to say I'm wrong until I know I can't go on. So here I am again, willing to be opened up and broken like a flower in the rain. Tell me what have I to do to die and then be raised to reach beyond the pain like a flower in the rain. Lord, you have searched me and know when I sleep and when I rise. You're familiar with all my ways. Even the darkness will shine like the day when you look into my heart. So here I am again, willing to be opened up and broken like a flower in the rain. Tell me what have I to do to die and then be raised to reach beyond the pain like a flower in the rain, like a flower in the rain.
And that was Flower in the Rain by JC Velasquez. And this was requested by Melanie in New Zealand. She is from the Philippines. And the cool thing is, this is actually going to be her story too, a very touching story. And it's a testimony of hers, of her life in coming into this history. So I hope you guys will listen carefully. It's really, I don't know what to say, because every time we hear these amazing stories from members, it's really touching, it's moving, and just to see God working in these people's lives. So let's begin the story for Melanie. So I became a Christian when I was 14, but there came a point in my life where I used to have a lot of questions. So when I became a Christian, there were a lot of things that didn't make sense to me while I was still back in the Philippines. I had questions like, even if I live a sinful life, am I still going to heaven if I die tomorrow? what's the purpose of my life? What's this fruit of knowledge of good and evil? And I had many questions like this. These questions gave me not just confusion, but it just brought me into this deep thought. Since then, I always prayed with my mom that we can go to the land of milk and honey. So when I came to New Zealand, what happened was I was homesick. And even when I went to church, I just felt something was missing. I was kind of still living in the past. I started hanging out with friends who were not a very good influence. I started drinking, even though I never drank before that. I went clubbing, and mainly because I just liked dancing, but I was also dragged by my friends and with the opposite sex. However, in spite all these things, all this fun I was having, I just really felt so empty. And one day, especially after my mom stopped talking to me because she said I changed in a bad way, but I was blinded by this. I realized it was true. Just hearing myself talking back to her, I realized she was telling the truth. I did change in a bad way. So I started to cry to God, asking if He can change me, because even if I go to church, it seems like I was searching for more. Until I met a former church mate whom I haven't seen recently. And she used to invite me to their events at church probably like 3-4 times, but I never went. But after that sincere prayer I felt really inspired to catch up with her. When I did, she testified about another church mate and invited me to their Christmas party. From there, I met a lecturer and I was connected to Bible study. Each Bible study gave me the answer to my questions. And I never heard such a refreshing and meaty word which challenged me to take action. And how important taking action is, which answered one of my other questions in life was, do my actions really matter? I realized that God led me to this church, and from there, I experienced my life changing. As much as I tried to study and take action, the more excitement, the more joy, and the urge for studying more I had. And this was something I've never had in the past. This made me cut off all my old ways of thinking. It made me stop drinking. I stopped clubbing, hanging out with those friends, because I knew that they wouldn't help my growth. Since then, I've never wanted to go back to that past. Now, although there's a lot of things still to fix along the way, I'm still in the process of changing, but compared to my past, I've never been this happy. These were the very words that my former churchmate said to me, the one that invited me to Bible study. I've never been this happy. And now I can say this with confidence. My confidence only comes from this word, where there was a person who put more effort than anyone else before in taking action, after studying, after realizing, and putting these words into practice. That's why this word is so powerful and life-changing. It's because he received it directly from God and the Holy Spirit. Thank you for letting me share my story. Thank you so much, Melanie, for a very inspiring and great story that you gave to us. It's so good to hear how much we've changed. And if you think about it, it's hard to see the change while we're in Providence for a while. But if you really think about the past, what you were like before you came, that was massive changes for all of us in our life. And now that we're in this history, the change is slow and steady, and that's why it seems like we're not changing as much. But you have to realize we're changing. That the words came out powerfully, and it made the big change in our life. But now it's time for us to change step by step every day. Amen. So once again, Melanie, not only I'm thanking you for this testimony, but thank you also for that request you gave to us too. It was a wonderful testimony that you gave of your life before and now. And I hope that all of us too will be inspired by your story and continue to change more and more each and every day. And now the end music is on, so let us come to an end and have, I hope that everyone has a wonderful Wednesday service tonight. Tonight's going to be the great song, so enjoy it, sing along, dance to it, just have a good time glorifying the Holy Trinity, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow on the Morning Star Drive on 107.8.
To make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure.
You wanna make it happen? Don't ever back down from the challenge ahead.